Hey everybody, welcome to a commentary with Diana, the Scorn of the Moon. I'm actually going mid lane this game. And mainly, I mean, Diana is actually one of my favorite mid champions right now. I don't really, either I don't get to pick her up very much because I don't go mid, or I just completely forget about her, which is kind of odd because every time I play her, I just do pretty well with her. I mean, the game before this, not the game before, like the game right before, but the game I played Diana last before this game, I went 7-4. We lost that game because top and bottom were both fed to hell, and I couldn't do much about that. But really, I mean, I just do remarkably well whenever I play Diana, so I figured, why not pick her up again now? I mean, what I had figured is I figured that Vlad was going to be mid, and that's why I picked her, was because, hey, I mean, Vlad gets countered pretty damn hard by Diana because of the fact that she can just shield every time he Qs her. I mean, granted, it is on a higher cooldown than his is, but it's going to be really hard for Vlad to burst through her tankiness. Yes, Diana is quite a tanky AP carry, and that's one of the reasons that people have a problem with her, is the fact that first off, her damage is exceedingly high. She has 4 damage sources. Granted, this wouldn't be much of a problem if give me a second. This wouldn't be much of a problem if she didn't also have displacement that both pulled people in and slowed them. So it's really hard to escape from a Diana. I mean, and live. I guess if you're Olaf and you go ahead and lower the amount and then like get rid of all crowd controls, you could probably manage, but it's really hard to escape from Diana, on top of the fact that she just does a crap load of damage. Because Lee's been nerfed plenty of times because of the fact that he did a lot of damage, and it was hard to escape from him and catch him. Granted, she doesn't have any escape mechanisms, but she makes up for the fact that she doesn't with her tankiness in lane. And right here, I mean, I'm just kind of like trading back and forth with him, with Rise. The thing that gives me a bit of a disadvantage against Rise is the fact that I'm melee, so I'm trying to get ahead. I'm trying to go ahead and farm while being safe at the same time. And I don't want Rise to harass me with. And right there, he goes ahead and tries to gank, but it didn't really help very much because he didn't have much damage, as much damage as Rise did, and the fact that he just went in when I didn't have mana, so we didn't have the damage to follow up very well. I mean, I didn't have the damage to follow up very well. Oh wait, why did I slow that down? I'm sorry, that was kind of dumb of me. I went ahead and the build I usually go, I go ahead and rush DFG, but then for the rest of the game, my AP items are somewhat situational. I mean, like, if I'm doing really well and I'm not worried about anybody killing me, I of course go for Rabadon's Death Cap right after my DFG. I kind of build her similar to Evelyn in the fact that I go ahead and get extra MR as needed, and unfortunately, though, I mean, if the AD carry is the one that's getting all the kills, Zhonya's isn't really that spectacular of an item on her unless you just want kind of casual invincibility, but even then, it's like, why get that on her when getting it on like someone like Vlad or Swain is like infinitely better. But if you're... And right here, Lee Sin dies to Vlad, but I go ahead and finish him off in return, so. And I go ahead and pop my shield. I didn't have any escapes, so I didn't really know if I could survive a low health Olaf. It's kind of the reason why I didn't want to try to engage him at low health, is because he probably was baiting that, and I also didn't see Cho coming up, so if I don't know, if I gave Olaf a kill after killing Vlad myself, I mean, it wouldn't really be necessarily the best trade, because giving Cho, who actually didn't really do that much with his with gold anyway, probably wouldn't have been a good trade-off, especially now that I have now that I had enough gold for another Doran's ring anyway. I didn't also want to give Olaf gold. Weird as that sounds. But anyway, this is, I mean, not much happens here again. It's just me farming and everything. And by the way, I know that I'm really bad at last hitting, so you don't have to. That whole telling me that I'm bad at last hitting thing was just kind of for for like I guess irony, sort of. I mean, not really, but kind of was. And right here, Lee does a really good job juking and finishing off that Olaf. Something to bring to mind with Diana is the fact that her ultimate is actually makes her really good for roaming. It's kind of like with Akali in a way where, I mean, she's not really that similar to Akali. I understand where people are coming from, where like her ultimate works really well with her Q, but Akali's Q actually just kind of works best on its own too. Diana's does as well, and it does as much damage right away, whereas Akali's you have to like attack the person as well. But her dash is mainly just to get close to someone, whereas Diana's not only synergizes really well with her Qs. I mean, her Q does a lot of damage, and then with anybody that has the Q on them, she blinks to them and does quite a hefty amount of magic damage as well. But it also is afflicted with no cooldown at all when she has Moonlight, which is what Crush and Strike gives when Moonlight is on them. So I guess it's kind of similar, but not really. I mean, especially since Diana's Lunar Rush actually has a lower cooldown than Akali's does, and Akali's refreshes on kills or assists. So I don't know. I think that Akali is much different than Diana, other than the fact that her Q and ultimate kind of work similarly. I mean, definitely Diana has a lot more crowd control and a lot more tankiness, while Akali has, how do I say it? I mean, Akali is not quite as reliable, has more sustain, but she's not really that tanky. So if you get an Oracle's Elixir or anything that that has true sight, like a Vision Ward or Lee Sin's E, she's not really that safe of a pick. Diana is a lot safer, she does more damage, and she's a lot tankier. And she arguably does a lot more damage than Akali all game long. Especially late game, Akali can't really safely, if she's on a tower or if somebody has an Oracles, she can't really safely be in the middle of people. So that's one of the big problems with Akali in relativity to Diana. Diana is just, in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's opinions, just much better of a character in general. Plus, in my opinion, she's a lot more fun to play. She makes you feel so powerful and crap, and like, she has her own sorts of downsides, such as the fact that she can't just jump into somebody because she's going to die if, first off, it's early game because she has no escapes other than Flash, and the fact that it's remarkably easy to out-trade her if you're a better early game champion. Her Q damage is significant enough to make quite a difference pretty much all game long, but there's also a big issue with the fact that, I mean, she can poke with it if she infinitely if she has blue, but she has big mana problems, and the fact that she, how do I say it? She has her own shares of risk involved with her as well, so that's one of the things. Yeah, that show wasn't really remarkably smart, but we'll see if this Vlad can actually take advantage of him. Nah, wow, that show wasn't really that smart. Anyway, this is just me farming. I'm not like trying to hide the fact that I'm bad at CSing or something. I just don't think you guys want to watch like 10 minutes of me farming, so that's my reasoning for not showing all of my farming. Sorry guys, that was my Skype, so if you guys heard that, so. But anyway, Uh, this is, I mean, I'm just trying to help this, I'm just trying to help the people that keep getting dove as much as I can. I actually didn't like the position I was in, so I went ahead and flashed. It was arguable how much I needed to flash there, because I don't think, unless Vlad had his ultimate, and I believe he did. Yeah, he had his ultimate, so that was kind of one of the reasons why I didn't want to... That was one of the reasons why I didn't want to bother dealing with his ultimate, because I was afraid that if the Vlad ultimate went on me, they would actually follow up quite well with that, with the damage afterwards. And once again, if you don't even if you use your ultimate improperly, it's not even that punishing. That's actually, it's just, there's a big problem with characters, I think, in terms of balancing, when if you do something wrong in their kit, you don't get punished for it. I understand the dynamic of rewarding a player as much as possible, but when it's overwhelming to the point where there's really not much that goes into the fact that how do I say it? There's not really much that goes into the fact that you need to play smart. If there's not that involved, then there tends to be a lot of balance issues with that champion. Think of someone like Rengar, for instance. He's not really punished for jumping into the middle necessarily, jumping into the middle of everybody and killing the carry right away. Because first off, that's exactly what his role is, so why is that a punishment if he kills the carry and then dies for it? I mean, at that point, the enemy team now has no carry, and now you are down one assassin who already did his job, so there's really not much of a punishment there. On top of the fact that even if he kills someone and jumps into the middle of everybody, there's no guarantee that he's going to die for it, because he has his W, which heals him and gives him a lot of armor and magic resist. A lot of people at high ELO are complaining about that, because there's not much to keep him peeled off of your carry, and he can survive after he does that, after he kills somebody on your team. So an assassin, a tanky assassins really struggle with in terms of balance. I went ahead and saw Olaf, and I showed him that I saw him by doing that. I don't know why I'm getting so many messages. I apologize for the distraction. I went ahead and jumped on him. Well, I didn't jump on him. I wanted to, but unfortunately didn't have the follow-up didn't have the follow-up damage to do that. And plus Vayne pretty much had it under control. Fed Vayne is about as dangerous as Fed Diana anyway, so no big deal. I mean, as long as we win the game. So this is just us. I think this is the first dragon of the game. I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps there was one earlier and I wasn't paying attention. Don't quote me on that, but oh man, and then this Vlad, man, there was not much he could do about our displacement. Yeah, I mean, like, this game's pretty much over. I mean, when you have somebody like Diana and Vayne both fed, there's not a whole lot you can come back from that. With that, especially since Diana's mid to late game is just so dangerous and so unstoppable as it is, that it's really hard to manage them properly. Another thing I wanted to mention, actually, that I just was reminded of, is the fact that Diana is already really dangerous late game and mid game. So those setbacks aren't enough. The fact that she does really well snowballing, on top of the fact that she's not out of the game even if she doesn't snowball, that can be really hard to manage effectively. I mean, like, again, coordinated teams can manage her, but solo queue, she's really a pain in the ass to have to deal with. But the reason why pro players can manage her properly is because, first off, they're never at a point where somebody is completely split off unless they make a really stupid mistake. And most people would attribute that to just poor play, not really the champion being completely overpowered. Now, what's overpowered is here's an example of overpowered. When a top lane is able to chase out an AD carry and a support at the same time, with them just being around, especially if they're a melee carry support, that's imbalanced. That is overpowered. As was mentioned to me, I didn't actually see the tournament, but what I was told was that Rengar was actually able to zone both a Sona and I believe it was a Corki or an Ezreal. I don't think it was an Ezreal because Ezreal is also really ridiculous. But I think it might have been Corki or perhaps it was Graves. But either way, Rengar, I mean, he's still really, really strong, and there's just not enough counterplay to him to really attribute that he isn't really ridiculous, you know? I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but there's a lot of balancing issues I have with Rengar as a champion, which is why I try to pick him up as much as I can, because every time I get the chances, because I can usually out-trade somebody even if I'm behind in gold and in, let me see, hang on a minute. And right here, not much happens. This is kind of a weird Mexican standoff here, as Stonewall would call it. This is kind of a weird trade here, because first off, Lee dies like right away. And so does Cho, because he's kind of being dumb. He killed Vlad, but he died too, and we ended up behind anyway, so not sure what that was about. I would have probably... Alright, here you see me land this Q again on, I think, Rise again. But, oh no, it was Corki. And unfortunately, Vayne dies right away too, so, I mean, this really isn't the most optimal of situations. I probably would have gone in on, like, Rise or something if I had 2 or 3 people with me, but I only have Scone Thief. We're, like, the only ones alive now. Well, Lee just respawned, but at that moment, we were, like, the only ones there. And we didn't really want to dive in on anybody, especially since they probably had enough damage to counteract us anyway, so that was just my reasoning. Right here, I'm actually going for my Rabadons first. I don't feel the immense need to get an Abyssal Scepter quite yet, because I can generally kill Rise before he has the chance to do anything, so what I probably should have done, actually, is gone for my DFG right away, but they weren't really building that much health, and I figured, you know, why not just build my Rabadons? My other spells are going to do as much damage anyway. I kind of wanted to... oh wait, no, I actually did end up getting DFG first, as if I recall correctly. I figured, hey, like, why not just stick with Needlessly Large Rod and have a Death by a Grasp so that I can go ahead and kill Vlad, like, from full to none. And, right here, I go ahead and... Well, we go ahead and kill him. I actually didn't want to get, like, completely nuked down by Rise, which is why I did that. Because I get the feeling that he was running into range of us just so that he could bind me, since, well, Cho was tanking the tower, but really I didn't want to risk anything. I'm still pretty squishy, like, despite the fact that I have 96 armor with Taric around, I'm actually quite fragile, and I actually want to play effectively, so... And I don't want to risk too much. And if you notice, you'll see how much damage I do in these fights, because it gets pretty ridiculous with the amount of Q poke I can do, and the amount of damage and the amount of punishment I can take, so... manual, okay, let's do that, because I'm getting kind of annoyed with the whole directed camera thing. Right here, we're just kind of randomly poking at each other. I probably would have jumped on Corki if I wasn't so damn afraid of that Sona ultimate. Sona ultimate is actually pretty ridiculous still. Sona as a champion I've actually been really enjoying as a support, along with Soraka. Soraka is actually what got me to silver. Unfortunately, I'm not gold yet, and I don't think I'm gonna get gold because of how little I play and how little I can afford to play lately. But as you notice, we're actually poking them down quite effectively, and you just see how much damage my Q does. It doesn't do a remarkable amount of damage, but that coupled with a lot of the other damage sources, is just quite a bit to handle. And unfortunately, I believe Scone Thief dies here, but... And I die to Olaf, but I also kill him, so it's not a complete loss. We do end up losing the team fight pretty bad because we kind of initiated that pretty poorly. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to blame Scone Thief for that one because he was already at pretty low health and he decided to burn all his spells so that he could die to Vlad's ultimate and give him a triple kill for some reason. But that was just, you know, we were all pretty disorganized there. I didn't really know who to assassinate right there. I mean, Corky almost died, but I also didn't want to jump too far into the fight and then guarantee that I would die and not necessarily kill him. So that was a lot of my reasoning for what I did. Right here, I got... Oh no, I guess I did get Rabadons first. I am completely lost here, actually. I don't know why I'm this lost, but... Not much happens here. We don't really do much. I mean, I'm just farming with Bane, and though I did die that last fight, I'm still pretty ahead. I mean, like, Rise is 1-1-5. I mean, that's not horrible, but it's not as much. It's not like 4-1-6. And I also almost have as much farm as he. I mean, no, not really, actually. No, I really don't. I don't really have in my defense. I don't really have that much safe AoE because I stress safe because my my Q is like my only form of long-range AoE. And then if I tried to use my W to farm against Rise, I probably maybe would have died. So, and right here, I wanted to go for this Olaf, and I actually did. So, and right here, I wanted to get him again, but. And right here, I do go ahead and clean him up, so... that's kind of one of the things you can take solace in, is the fact that you do a lot of damage. And even like mid-game, it's going to be really hard for tanky characters, unless they've got like a million like magic resist, like a Galio or something. It's going to be really hard to survive. It's going to be really hard to survive as Diana. I mean, against Diana, I apologize. And we go ahead and we salvaged the fact that we didn't have a good team fight last time by having a good team fight this time. So, right here, I don't know what I was doing. I mean, I don't know if I wanted to get Abyssal Scepter first, or if I wanted to get Rabadons first. I don't remember why Vlad disconnected there, but we ended up being ahead in the team fight because of that. I apologize for missing all of that pretty much, but... basically what happens is they overextended to kill Tarek, but then gave me 2 kills for it, so it ended up being more than worth it. I mean, like, that was just a really poor play on their part. So, I also don't know why I was going for Abyssal Scepter, since Cho'Gath had it in the first place, so there was no real reason to get it. I guess I just wanted the extra magic resist? I don't really remember what my reasoning was here. I ended up going ahead and getting Deathfire Grasp first anyway, so it ended up being alright in the end. But, once again, I digress. I got my Abyssal Scepter first. Why am I on drugs today? I'm not really on drugs, but seriously, like, I don't know what my mentality is right now with me thinking that I keep getting Deathfire Grasp first. Okay, here's the thing. If you're ahead, go ahead and get this item build. Like, go ahead and stick with this. But if you're behind and you want more damage for mid-game, and you're afraid that you won't make much of an impact, you can go ahead and go for Deathfire Grasp, because that's going to be doing percentage damage, and you're going to be able to burst anyone from full to none in seconds anyway, so there's really... I mean, you pretty much want to get Deathfire Grasp at some point in the game. It just depends on how far behind or ahead you are or what you're worried about. Really, I wasn't really that worried about... And right here we go ahead and catch this Rise. And the game is about over, so I mean, there's really nothing they can do at this point. Rise went ahead and got completely annihilated there. He's got he's got a frozen heart, but that's not enough to stop me. I mean, like, he probably should have gone for, I'm not really sure what he should have gone for, but... And I don't know what we were doing there either. I mean, like, we burned Olaf's ultimate, I guess that counts, but... and right here, Olaf really wanted that Bane, but we had too much displacement and he had no ultimate, so there was nothing he could have done to get her. So we went ahead and got her and cleaned her up. So, and this Vlad, like, he disconnected early on, but then came back. So I mean, I guess that kind of was the nail in the coffin. But I think we were ahead enough anyway to the point where we could have easily finished it, even if he was there. So. Anyway, that was Diana, the Scorn of the Moon, and go ahead and like, comment, favorite, whatever you want to do to this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.